Hey, let's make a website in 20 minutes.
Welcome to the 10-minute project series where we make 10-minute projects. Today, we're going to cover how we can make a simple one-page website. This website will serve as an announcement page that you can post on and others can see. Before we start, let me explain what Django is. Django is a Python web framework that helps you build websites. It will manage everything for you, including a database. This database is called MySQL, which is used all around the world, including in Google. Django is open source and free, and I'll link the GitHub down below. Now, let's start. First, we want to install Django, so we're going to open up our terminal and run pip install Django. And then it's going to start collecting the packages. Okay, mine installed, and to create a package, make sure you're in the correct directory and run django-admin, which is a command, start project, which will start a project for you, and the name you want your project to be. I'll name it announce. Okay, so if I actually see everything here, you can see that it created a new directory called announce. If I go cd announce, and here inside the announce directory there are two folders. One is an announce and one is just a file called manage.py. In manage.py, let's just quickly test if our installation is working. We can do this by running python 3 manage.py run server. Okay, now it's going to be running the server, and it does give us a warning that we have not applied migrations, but we'll do that later. Currently it's running on port 8000. So when I open up my web browser, I can actually go localhost 8000, which is the port we're running it on. And it says the install worked successfully. Congratulations. Now, we haven't configured any URLs, so it doesn't know what to show. So when we want to configure URLs, we have to start an app. Python 3 manage.py start app, right? Just like start project, but it's an app. And we can name this app whatever we want. I'll name it main, right? If I now see, now there's another directory called main, and it created a database file, SQLit3. It's a database. So now we have everything we need in the command line currently working. Let's open up our text editor. Here I'm going to add a folder, and you can see our directory. Okay. Now in here, you can see that the main announce directory contains a file called urls.py. This is simple as what it's called. It's the URLs. Now we're going to create this new path, right? And it's just an empty thing, meaning the root page. Now, we actually want it to take all the URLs from the main app. It's currently in the announce app. So we're gonna add the include thing, and we're gonna actually pass this parameter called include. Include main.urls. Now, it's gonna be looking for a file called URLs in main. Currently, we don't have that, so we're gonna create a new file and name it urls.py. Simple. Now let's get started with making this file. From django.urls import path. That's what we saw here, but now instead of passing from the announce directory, it's now going to be passing from the main. Now we want to first start with the app name, a variable, whatever you named your app. I named it main. And then we're going to go to the URL patterns, right? Now this is going to be a list of all the URLs. We're going to do the root path again. And here we're actually going to be looking for something in the views.py file. This will show everything that the person will actually see. So I want to go views.index. But as most of you know, you got to import it. From dot which means from this directory, import views. Now this is views.index, meaning it's going to return whatever is inside the index page. Let's see. Now when I open my views.py file, we want to create a function, right? Since this is calling for index, I'll do def index. Now Django automatically passes one parameter called request, and it gives you all the details about what the user requested. Now here, this is the index page as we know, and it already came with an import called render, which actually renders templates, which is basically an HTML file. Return render. And now here we're actually going to do request, then we're going to pass in index.html, right? Now this will actually look for something in the templates folder called index.html, and it'll render that. So let's just get started. Create a new folder called templates, right? And that's where it's going to be looking for all its templates. Then we're going to create a new file called index.html and create our basic HTML template. So the title of our page, we'll just say, it worked, right? Just as a quick test. It worked. Okay. Now, to completely test it out, we're now going to go Python 3 manage.py. Actually, yeah, Python 3 manage.py run server. Or we can run our server again. And here we go. Okay. Now, again, this is a common error that I just showed you guys. Now, the reason this happened is because we did not load an app. We always need to load the apps in the settings. So here we're going to load the app, main.apps, right? You can see the apps thing. And it's going to be main config, which is the configuration. Now, if I'll control C the server, I'll reload it manually. And look, it showed up. It worked. Right? Now, just remember not to make the issue as I showed you. Now here is a secret key. Obviously, this is insecure, and you can always change this later. I'll be changing this later, and I'll show you how to generate your own secret key if you want to. Now, debug basically is, you see how it showed us the actual error? That won't actually happen. It'll just be the server encountered an error, 500. But here it's actually going to show you the whole traceback, which should never happen as it says here. Now, allowed hosts is that whenever you deploy your website, there's types of attacks that can actually take your own website and host them themselves, which is not allowed. So you can just put your own allowed hosts, what websites you want to be allowed to host your website. Okay, now let's get a little fancy here. As I said, Django has MySQL. So we need to manage the database, right? Migrate the database as it's asked me to. Python 3 manage.py migrate. Okay, oh, you see, it made a bunch of OKs, which means it worked. Now, we are actually going to create our own part of the database. This is always done in a class. So let's say we want to make this class that shows old posts. We're going to do class. I'll just name it announce. Okay? I actually want to capitalize it, right? And now in here, we're going to put a parentheses, models.model, meaning it's going to be like a child class of this class called models.model. Now we want to add the following fields. Title is equal to, I'm actually just going to leave it empty. Then message is equal to, and pub_date, which is for, obviously, the day it was published. So the title, we're obviously going to do models.char field, which means it's a character field. Max underscore length, I'll just say it's, for the title, I'll make it 30. Then we'll do another model.char field here. But here the max length is going to be 500, right? And here this is actually going to be models.date time field, which is obviously represents a date field, and you just leave it like that. Now I actually want to spice it up, so we're going to do def underscore stir self. Now this is, whenever you go to the admin page, it always shows you like a title of each of the objects in the database. You don't want them to just be, oh, object 1, object 2. You want to make an actual string custom. So we're going to do return self.title. When we get into the admin, I'll actually show you how what it does. Now, whenever you make a change to the database, you gotta migrate it. So first we're going to do make migrations, and then we're going to do main, the app. Then we can do migrate. And there we go. We migrated the database. Now to use the database, we have to import it. So we're going to do from .models, right, from this directory's model, import announce. Okay. So now we can get all the objects in announce. We can do anything within the database. So now, whenever this is a template, so we can actually change the way it renders index.html. Now here we're actually going to pass a dictionary, right? Now this is going to be the variable of the way it's going to be accessed. I'll actually show you how it works later. So we're just going to name it all of them. Okay. Then here we're actually going to do announce.objects.all, right? This is going to get all the objects. And here we're going to do ordering by. Order by dash pub underscore date. Now this dash basically means negative pub date, meaning that the newer ones are going to come on the top. Right? It's going to organize it in that certain way. Now if we actually hop on to index.html, we can actually access this variable called all of them, and the thing of the variable is going to be this whole list of a query set, actually it's called. So now we obviously want to for loop the query set. Percent, right? This will declare that it's a special tag. For, right? As you know, let's just do s in, and the variable is called all of them, right? I'm gonna do that. Now over here, we are free to do anything we want with s. Obviously, I'm just gonna put an n4 to end the for loop. It can't detect the indentations like Python can. Okay, so now over here we are free to do whatever we want with the s variable. Now in the s variable, we can, if we put in s.title, that'll return the string. s.message, it'll return a string of char field. And s.pubdate, it'll return a string, but it's of the publishing date. Okay, so let's just quickly test that out with, now this obviously will show a variable, s.title. I actually want to just put this in paragraph tags. Right? Let's put it in paragraph tags. And here we go. Let's actually test it out. We'll hop onto my terminal and run the server. Now if we reload, you can see that it's blank. That's because we have added nothing to the database. Now to add things to the database, we can actually create an admin user, which has the permissions to add things to the database. Okay, now to create an admin user, we're going to run python manage.py create super user. Now here, we're just gonna put in our username. I'll leave blank to use my username of the operating system. Email address, I'm gonna leave that blank, and the password. You can't leave this blank, so I'm gonna just put in a random password here. Okay, now super user created successfully. Let's run the server again. Now, we can actually go to /admin as you saw in our URL list. If you ever saw in our URL list, there's an admin, right? What does that do? It's all the admin site. It's the whole admin site. Now, if we go here, it's going to ask us for it. And enter our password. And here we go. Now, as you can see, our model doesn't come in. And that's because you need to add it, right? That's why an admin.py is created. We're going to do admin.site.register. It's going to register a model. I'm actually going to do from.import models. And here in the register, we're going to put in models.announce, which should register it. And look, it came in. And obviously over here, it's the previous ones. Select announce to change, and I can add one. Let's just say title, I'll name it yay. In the message, I'll name it cool. And obviously in the pub date, I'll name it today now, right? Whatever that is. And here we go. If I actually view the site, it shows me the title of it. Now I actually want the whole thing, so I can actually customize it. So I want to put everything in a div class to organize it. And also, put a special style. Div class, we'll name it post. Right? That's our class name. This cannot be accessed by the Python. It's just there. So here I'm actually going to put it in H2 tags. It's going to be like a heading, right? And it'll pop up bigger, if you'll see, right? And it'll be bold. Now, we're going to add more things like, let's display the, in small, let's display the s.pub_date/small. Then we're also going to do paragraph tags s.message, which is going to return the message flow, which you can see. I'm going to do it here. Yeah, here in small it shows, April 23rd, 2021, 1:39 a.m. It says cool. Now, if you actually want to see what's going on, and if you want to style it, this is why we have classes here. They can easily be accessed by CSS and JavaScript. Okay, just gonna run our little style tags. And don't worry about the miscolor there. Now we're gonna do dot post, right? Which meaning it's gonna be colored the post tag. Now let's add a little style to it by going background-color. Obviously to this thing only. We'll make it, I don't know, red. If it looks nice. Oh well, it's just there, right? Now, let's say we want to center this. Right, we gotta think about a little bit of style too. Right, we kind of got the main functionality there, almost. But now let's align it to the center, and look, it came to the center. And I want this to also be at the center. Right? Style is equal to text-align :center. I think I'm gonna just leave that alone. So, and there we go. We got this thing into the center. Now, if you've ever seen, some headings actually have a line that separates it. So that's actually using something called a HR, horizontal line. Horizontal row, actually, it's called. And look at that. It shows a horizontal row. That doesn't even stretch to the whole screen. And it's just there, right? It shows everything. This is actually in UTC time. And it's cool. So in the next episode, we'll be working on styling this, making it look cool, maybe even adding a dark mode to it. But until then, goodbye.
Thanks for watching.